Hey guys, I'm Amit Kumar and welcome to this video in which we are going to talk about user management. And guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you want to stay updated with proper Salesforce tutorials and want to watch more tutorials, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. Also, if you have thoughts or questions, drop it in the comments. I would love to hear from you and promise I will read every single one. Thank you so much guys, and now you can proceed with the video. Hey guys, welcome to the practical session of user management. Now to create a user, first of all we need to go to the setup page. For that, click on the gear icon and click on setup. And in the quick find, type in users. Click on users, and from the user setup page, you can create new user by clicking on new user. Now, when you are creating a user, there are few required fields. Like you have to mention the last name, user alias name, email, username, nickname, role, user license, and profile. So let me first give the few basic details over here. So now you can see here I have selected an email ID. Now the email ID of more than one user can be same. But as I told earlier as well, username should be unique. So make sure the username that you are providing over here is unique for your user. And this specific username should be unique throughout all the org. So here I'm providing username as persh@pstadmin.com. Now, it's up to you. If you don't want to decide the role right now, you can also specify it as none specified and you can go ahead with that. Now, user role is basically useful to define the level of access a user has to data and features in the platform. So whatsoever data and features that are there, a user role actually is very useful to decide the accessibility of that specific user. Even it also decides the organizational hierarchy for that specific user. And later down the line, when we will discuss about sharing rules, that time also role is really important. But we can change the role of the user in future as well. Now user license actually allows us to select a specific profile. Now each user license has specific profiles allotted in it. For example, if I'm selecting Xorg proxy user, so there is only one profile available under this license. And if I'm selecting chatter free, so there is two specific profiles under this license. So a user license helps you to decide a specific profile for it. For example, if I want to make this user as system administrator, I have to select Salesforce license, and there I have a profile of system administrator. Now you should be aware that each org has a limited number of user license. And if you will cross that specific limit, you will not be able to assign that specific license to any other user. For example, on a developer edition org, there is only two Salesforce licenses available. One of the licenses is already provided to the user when I created this specific org, when I sign up for this specific org, and the other one I'm providing to this specific user. So definitely I won't be able to create another system administrator because for that I need one more Salesforce user license. Other than that, there are some feature licenses available over here which you can allot. We are going to discuss about feature licenses in detail later down the line. You can provide some other information over here. By default, it will select the email encoding. You can provide any mailing address, but this is optional. It is not required to be provided over here. Time zone, locale, and language are required fields, and by default it will be selected according to the time zone, locale, and language settings of your org. Later down the line, we will see how you can change it for the org level and for a specific user level as well. Make sure you check this generate new password and notify user immediately checkbox, because if this is unchecked, the user with this specific email ID will not receive any mail to sign up and change the user password. So make sure you check this checkbox before you create the user. Now as soon as I will save this user will be created, and on this specific email I'm going to receive a mail for generating the password for this user. So I'm clicking on save and the user created successfully. Now let me show you what sort of mail we will receive. So you can see I have received a mail over here, and it is the same type of mail which I received for the first time when I signed up for the org. It is to verify my account. And when I will click on verify account over here, I would be able to generate a password for this specific user. So let me do that. So as soon as I will click on verify account, it will ask me to reset password. And it's the same screen where I can change my password. So provide the password, confirm it, choose the security question, provide the answer and click on change password. Definitely this part will be done by that specific user for whom you have created this user. By clicking on view profile, you can definitely see which user have logged in right now. So I'm logging out by that and logging in again as my default administrator. Now for a specific user, you can also provide some permission set groups, which will actually grant additional permissions to that user. But that is something we will discuss on a separate video and not in this specific video. Let me show you what are the other way in which we can create user, and in this way you can create multiple users at the same time. But before that, let me show you from where you can check the available user licenses in your org. So for that, in the quick find, type in company. Click on company information. You can scroll down and here you can see the user licenses. It will show you the total licenses available for that specific user license, how many of them have been used and how many of them is remaining. So you can see for Salesforce, there were 2 licenses available for us. We used both of them and that's why none is remaining right now. Here you can see the identity user license is having 110 total licenses and all 110 is not being used now. So definitely right now we are going to create multiple users and we will make them all as identity user. Now to create multiple user, type in users again in the quick find, click on users. From here, click on add multiple users. Now here you can see all the available licenses that are there for you. From this page, you can also see the different roles and the hierarchy of that specific role in your org. And from here, you can add multiple users. First of all, you have to select a user license for them. So right now I'm providing identity user license. So all the users that I'm going to create now will have this identity user license. Now let's provide the first name and last name for them. Now you need to make sure that the email that you are providing over here is also going to be the username for those users. So what I would suggest is for these users, you should provide a username and not an email ID right now, because anyhow, we are not going to check this generate password and notify user via email, because I am creating imaginary users right now. But in real life, when you would be creating users for them, you can provide an email ID over here and click on that generate password. But in that case, the email ID will become the username and those users will not be able to use the same email ID as a username for any other org. So my suggestion would be provide a username over here rather than an email ID and then generate password for them with a different approach. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to provide a specific username for them, which is not a valid email ID, of course. Select a profile for them. There is only one profile in identity user license and I'm not specifying any role for them. So let me quickly add values for these users. Now once it's done, you can definitely click on save. If you want, you can click on add more users and definitely you can add more users. The user listed above will be saved and then you will get another list of 10 users. But at a time, you can add only 10 users from here. Now click on save and you can see 10 identity users have been created over here. Now we are going to talk about resetting password. Now resetting password is really useful if you want to reset the password of a user. Maybe in future some user have forgot their own password and they have forgot the security question as well. So in that case, they can come to you as a system administrator and they can ask you that they have forgot their password and the security question, and here you have to come and select that specific user and reset their password. Resetting password of a user also unlocks the user in case the user is logged in. We will talk about logged user in a while, but if a user is getting logged, then you will select that user and you can unlock him, or you can directly select the user and reset their password. Resetting a password will automatically unlock the locked user and they will get a mail on their registered email ID to reset password. So for resetting password of a specific user, you can go to that specific user and click on it. For example, I am clicking on this user. And from here you can click on reset password and this is definitely going to reset password for this specific user. The mail ID that is given over here, the user will get a mail over there and by clicking on that email, they can reset the password. If you want to reset password for more than one users at the same time, you can select those users by using these checkboxes and click on reset passwords and all these users' password will get reset. So right now when I was creating multiple user, I asked you to create username and provide username over there rather than an email ID. Once it is done, you can click on individual users, change their email ID from here, and then once you have provided email ID for all the users, then you can select them and click on reset password. So all the user will get a link on their registered email ID and they can generate their passwords from there. Now a password created by this way doesn't expire, but definitely when they click on it, they have to change the password once. Now activating and deactivating a user. Now as I told you, deleting a user is not allowed in Salesforce. You cannot delete a specific user which is created. Hence, if a specific user have left your company and if you want to remove that user from here, you have to deactivate the user. Deactivating a user will also release the license allotted to that specific user. Now to deactivate a user, you can click on a specific user and from here click on edit, uncheck this active box, click on OK and click on save. And this specific user have been deactivated now. If you want to activate a user, again you have to come to that specific user detail page, click on edit and check this active box and click on save, and now the user have been activated. Now when we are deactivating a specific user, sometimes it becomes very complicated. The reason is this specific user can be part of any specific hierarchy or may be allotted to some specific groups, may be assigned to some specific tasks. They may be owner of some specific records. So if you want to deactivate a specific user, it is always advised to system administrator to transfer the ownerships to any other user and then deactivate that specific user. If the administrator is sure that now that specific user is not owner of any specific record, is not part of any specific custom hierarchy, then they should deactivate that specific user. Otherwise, there is huge chances that the record will not have any other owner. Now, during the process, when you are changing the ownership of the user, you don't want that user to log in. So before deactivating it, it is advised to freeze that user so that the user should not be able to log in. During the process of ownership transfer, during the process of hierarchy transfer, you can freeze that user so that he should not be able to log in. Now to freeze a specific user, you need to click on that specific user, and from here you can click on this freeze button. And now this specific user is freezed. Though he is activated, he is not deactivated, but he is freezed, and because the user is freezed, this specific user will not be able to log in. During that period of time, you can definitely transfer the ownership of the records, you can definitely transfer the custom hierarchy of this specific user, and once everything is done, then you can come here and you can deactivate this user. If a user is freezed and you don't want to deactivate and you want to unfreeze the user, definitely you can come to the detail page and you can click on this unfreeze button. The freeze button automatically changes to unfreeze for all the freezed user. So you can click on unfreeze and now this user is unfreezed. Now if a user is attempting password and if the user have crossed the limit of failed login attempts. So there is a certain limit of failed login attempts. I will show you how you can change that limit. But if a user have crossed the limit of failed login attempts, then by default the user become a locked user. Now in that scenario, you have to come and you have to unlock that specific user. Now unlocking a user is very simple. If a user gets locked, you will get an unlock button over here. So to show you that, let me try to fail the number of login attempts. And before that, let me show you from where you can change the maximum number of failed login attempts. So for the org, you can set it from the password policies section. So here in the quick find, type in password, click on password policies. Here you can see it is showing you maximum invalid login attempts. So right now it is 10. You can make it no limit. So in that case, user can attempt any number of times, but I am setting it to 3. So I am allowing only 3 maximum login attempts for any specific user over here because this is org level settings. You can also set it for a specific user level. We will talk about that later, but let me just save it. And I will try to log in as Singh with wrong passwords. And definitely I will show you that this specific user is locked. So let me log out. And now let me try to log in as user. And I am giving wrong password. So this is my first attempt. This is my second attempt. This is my third attempt. And I am doing it for the 4th time as well. So now I have failed logging in by that specific user. Now let me log in by the default admin. And now if I will go to the user's detail page and search for Spursing and see the detail of this user, now you can see this user is locked, and that's why you can see an unlock button over here. So from this page, you can also see the failed login attempts by this specific user. For that, you need to scroll down, and here you will see failed login attempt. Now, when a user crosses the maximum number of failed login attempts, this counter resets to 0 and this user gets locked. So to unlock this user, there is two ways. You can directly click on this unlock and the user will get unlocked, and then he can try logging in again with the correct password. But of course, and there is another way to unlock the user is reset the password for that specific user. So if I'm going to reset the password, definitely this user will get unlocked, and the user will also get a mail on the registered mail ID for resetting the password. There may be chances that the user have forgot the password and because of that he got unlocked. So you can directly reset the password as well, or you can click on unlock button as well. Now this user is unlocked and the user can now log in with the correct username and password. Now guys, that's it for this specific video. We have discussed a lot of stuffs about user management, creating a user, creating multiple users, resetting password for the user, freezing, unfreezing a user, activating, deactivating a user, and of course unlocking logged users. So that marks the end of this video. See you soon in the next video. Till then, thank you and take care.